Newspaper, there is one important article from GS2, that is IR point of view. So that is this article. And today's class also has something to do with this article. So very quickly, I will explain what is the essence of it, and then we'll go ahead with how India is dealing with Bangladesh and India is dealing with Bhutan, because that also has implications how India deals with China as well. So that is why I'm just trying to explain this first. So if you see here, overall, like what Adar is saying is basically China has something called palm and finger. Okay, palm and finger policy. You all know palm, right? Palm is this thing. So this is palm, and these are the fingers. So this is the policy China has towards Tibet and all the bordering countries with India. So here palm is Tibet. Okay, and first thing is Ladakh. First finger is Ladakh. Second finger is uh, this thing Nepal. Third finger is Sikkim, and fourth Bhutan, and fifth Arunachal Pradesh. So these are the five fingers China also wants to liberate or occupy or to keep it in its territory. So that is why you have all the conflicts. So this is something that is started in 1960 or 1950, just after when China came. So to oppose this palm and five finger strategy, India proposed three finger strategy or three pronged strategy. So what is it? So it is basically that first strategy is improve your governance and border infrastructure in all the states that are in the borders. Okay. For example, we have Arunachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Sikkim, or other states like UP, Bihar, etc. So what it says is in the first strategy, improve the border infrastructure so that it will be easy to move your troops. Second thing, they used to have a service called Indian Frontier Agency Service. So this service is a group of IPS, IAS, and IFS, so that the governance will be improved. So this is first strategy. Second thing, improve or consolidate your relationship with your neighbors that are Nepal, Bhutan, and Sikkim. Why Sikkim here? Because we all know that Sikkim is a state of India, but it is not a state of India after independence. It became a state of India only after 1972. Okay, so before that, it used to be a country. So at that time, we made a treaty with Sikkim to take care of all the defense and foreign affairs. Similarly, we have a treaty with Bhutan, and then you all know we, as we discussed, we also have a treaty of peace and friendship with Nepal. So this way we had made agreements and we have kept them close with India. So that is how India actually countered the palm and five finger strategy of China. So now Other is saying in these three countries, like with respect to Nepal, Bhutan, and Jammu and Kashmir, there are some problems in strategy, like with the time. Like for example, in Jammu and Kashmir, how far we have developed the region, and is doing Article 370 the right step or not? Second thing, with Bhutan, we have revised the treaty, and now with Bhutan, we have very good relations. But with Nepal, we don't have that good. So, do we need to revisit and work on this basically so that our bilateral relations with those countries develop, and it will also be useful to counter Chinese strategy in the southern border. So, that is what author is trying to explain. So, from here, we will take that India Bhutan relations, okay, how it is important, and what is the current stature of relationship, everything. So from IR point of view, have a read of it, so that you'll get a clear context. And then leaving this editorial on the next page, yes, so you have multilateralism post COVID-19. And if you see the other, he is Syed Akbaruddin. Okay, Syed Akbaruddin. He is very important guy. Like he just retired from position of UN representative, Indian representative for UN, that is United Nations. So that is why his views are very important. And this article is important only for political science and international relations students. So if there are PSR students, try to read this article. I know it is very tough right now because there are many technical terms, but try to Google them, try to understand. If not once, try to read twice, because this is a kind of article that is important from only from PSIR perspective. If there are other people, you don't need to read it from GS or IR. It's only for PSIR. Okay. So that is about this editorial. And apart from that, I don't see anything much important to concentrate apart from, knowing this, how this happened, what is this China, India, Atmanirbhar. Yes, again, here there is an important news. Like if you remember, we have discussed something about North Korea and South Korea, part of Cold War, like how they are enemy. So right now, again, there is conflict that is going on. Apart from how India and China is there, there is another conflict in the world, that is North Korea and South Korea. So try to read this and know more about it. And this thing is also very important. Peaceful development. Just have a read so that you'll get the more context on this. Rest all is okay, like everyday news is not that much important from prelims or mains perspective. Okay. So that is from news coverage. Now we'll go ahead with our relations. Like where we have stopped, we have completed India, Nepal, and we are somewhere in between India, Bangladesh, right? So what we'll do today is we will immediately complete India, Bangladesh relations first, and then India, Bhutan relations as well. Because on Sunday you have some essay class, right? So we'll try to club with it, or CSB will inform you the schedule. But we'll have one thing pending in neighborhood, that is Sri Lanka, that will cover on Sunday. So today we'll cover India, Bangladesh, and India, Bhutan. So coming back to India, Bangladesh relations, we have discussed most of it, but as we have lost one day yesterday, so I'll just give a quick recap, not more than 5 minutes. So if you see India Bangladesh relations, I said it is very important because it is right at the middle of connectivity between Northeast and India's mainland. So that is why Bangladesh is very important. And also from security angle, like the drug trafficking, drug smuggling, and also human trafficking, illegal migration. From all this aspect, Bangladesh is very important. So we need to have good relations with Bangladesh. Part of that, if we see different aspects of relationship, the first thing is security and border management. This is important because we have very long border. And second thing, we also have cooperated very closely on security after having two main agreements. I've explained you that. One is land boundary agreement, second is maritime boundary. So that is why we are having close cooperation in border management. And after security management, yes. So after security management, it is economic relations. Economic relations, I told, like Bangladesh is slowly growing very fast. So we also have very good relations. And there is a trade of about 9 billion, and that too in the favor of India. And India is also investing heavily in Bangladesh. And out of all the aspects, connectivity is very important for India to connect to Northeast and also to connect Northeast to the East Asia. So I've told various aspects like how from railways, how using waterways, and all the modes we are connecting to Bangladesh. These are the maps, like these are the waterways. If you can see here, these are the National Waterway 1. So from prelims point of view, also know these waterways. If not everything, at least know National Waterway 1, on which river it is, where to where it connects, National Waterway 2, and National Waterway 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, till 6, you need to know like on which rivers they are. For example, National Waterway 1 is on Ganga River, National Waterway 2 is on Brahmaputra. And do you know like Godavari River forms on which national waterway? It is, I believe, National Waterway 4. So check on that. But this is something you have to remember. It might be asked in prelims. So this is waterways. And similarly, I showed you from railways also we are connecting. And then this is about the states and countries that are part of, sorry, the countries that are part of a corridor called BBIN. That is Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, and Nepal. So in this, we are having a motor vehicle agreement where freely the goods and the people can transit through vehicles. So that is this agreement. So this is also important and part of connectivity. And now finally, energy sector. So energy sector is a new sector that is slowly growing. And one important addition in the recent past is civil nuclear cooperation, where I told like India, Russia, both are having an arrangement where they are going to construct a nuclear reactor in Bangladesh. And apart from that, we also having cooperation in space, like having satellite cooperation, satellite usage cooperation, SARC satellite we have launched, and then internet is also being shared between Northeast and Bangladesh. And then finally, the political cooperation in various multilateral organizations. Or like, what are the multilateral organizations? They are regionally like SARC, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, BIMSTEC, BBN we just now discussed, and then finally IOC. IOC stands for Indian Ocean Region. Okay, so that region also how we are cooperating. So this is overall the various aspects of relation. Now we'll see like different things which we need to know from the mains point of view. First thing is we also need to know so far I've discussed the positives. So we also need to know the issues because that is very important when somebody asks relations and also to comment or assess the relationship. So part of that, the first major dispute between India and Bangladesh is with respect to rivers. So rivers form very crucial part between India and Bangladesh. It it is said that around 48 rivers flow between India and Bangladesh. That includes all the tributaries and all. Like Ganga has various tributaries like Hooghly and all. Brahmaputra has many tributaries. Some rivers flow from Tripura, from the other side, Tripura and Meghalaya, like Barak River and all. So combining all this, it is estimated about 48 rivers. So imagine what kind of impact it will have. So part of this, you also know that if you see the map here, this is some kind of water map. So if you see, India is a upper riparian state. So I have already discussed. Upper riparian is something from where the river originates, and lower riparian is something where the river goes. So here Bangladesh is lower riparian state, and India is upper riparian state. So it is always a cooperation is needed between India and Bangladesh regarding water control. And this Ganga and Brahmaputra both form the important source of irrigation and drinking and for the economy of Bangladesh. So it always wants good control of water and good flow of water in these rivers. So that is why starting from 1971 when Bangladesh formed, they always pressed for agreements so that they both can have a reasonable amount of water sharing. So part of that, if you see, in 1996, we had a major agreement on Ganga River. So that is Ganga Water Treaty. So according to that, we had a commission which decides like what kind of water flow should be there in the river, how much water should be allocated to Bangladesh, all these aspects. So this was signed in 1996. So this was somewhat good factor. But after that, there was a project that was done in West Bengal of India called Farakka Barrage. Okay, Farakka Barrage. So this barrage is basically a barrage or a dam kind of thing on Hooghly River, basically to improve the water flow in Hooghly River. But this Hooghly River also flows into Bangladesh, and Bangladesh started opposing this barrage because it says it is similar to like how Andhra Pradesh and Telangana fight for water. Like if one construct a dam, they say our water will be stopped, and also the water flow will be reduced. Now imagine if this is countries. This is at least states in India. Now imagine if a river flows through two countries, then obviously you construct any project, there will be an opposition from the other country. And in Farakka barrage, there is genuine suspicion from Bangladesh that this water should will be controlled by India, especially in summer season. So that will have huge impact. So that is why there is a dispute right now on Farakka barrage. So that is one issue. And the most important issue is Tista River dispute. I mean, this is the dominating aspect of relationship. Like after signing this land boundary agreement, the only major pending issue is Tista River dispute because this is very emotional for both Bangladesh and India. So, so what about Tista River? So if you see Tista River flow, this starts somewhere in Sikkim near to Gangtok, and then slowly from Sikkim it flows to West Bengal and from there to Bangladesh. So this river is very important after Ganga and Brahmaputra for the irrigation potential of Bangladesh. So Bangladesh was asking for a water sharing agreement. Why? Because you know that Tista River, not like other rivers, it is mainly dependent on glacier melt water. That means whenever the glacier melts, the water comes into the river. That is a major source. So that is why if West Bengal and Sikkim controls this water, there will be completely kind of drought or effect on Bangladesh. So we have made negotiations, and finally in 2011 we signed an agreement. According to this agreement, you can see this rate of flow, how it is divided. You don't need to remember or you don't need to note it down. I'm just giving it to you from the point of view of fact. Like around 42% of water is allocated to India, and 37 to 38% is allocated to Bangladesh, and rest 20% should be for the river flow. So this is arrangement. But since 2011 till now, we didn't sign this pact. From 2011, India was trying to sign this agreement, but West Bengal government is constantly opposing. You all know West Bengal government is right now under Mamata Didi. So Mamata Didi is like completely opposite to center. So whatever center says, she is completely opposite. And you all know the politics how it plays, especially between Trinamool Congress of West Bengal and BJP of center. So that is why West Bengal, one thing is political concern. Second thing, West Bengal is also genuinely concerned about water sharing. West Bengal says that the major portion of the river flows through West Bengal, so we need more allocation. And next thing, water is a state subject. You all know that. So center doesn't have very good control about water agreements. That means finally a state has to agree about sharing of water with another state or country. So that is why having West Bengal part of this negotiation is also important. So because West Bengal is constantly opposing it, till now we didn't sign this Tista water agreement. So this is another important challenge part of river disputes. So this is something still we are working on, which we have to resolve to make further progress in relationship. So apart from river disputes, next important issue is border management, because you all know West Bengal shares very long border with India. That is one of the longest border. And second thing, it also involves many states in that boundary. Like if you see, the entire northeast is having boundary with West Bengal, apart from few states. So because of that, border management is very important. So part of border management, so first thing is illegal migration. Illegal migration is very important issue or a challenge between India and Bangladesh. Why? So first thing, you all know, after 1971, there was frequent illegal migration from Bangladesh into Assam and northeastern states. And you all know how there were agitations in Assam, and then finally Assam and central government made an accord called Assam Accord, according to which right now we are doing this Citizenship Amendment Act or National Registry of Citizens. So NRC, whatever we are doing in Assam is basically because of provisions of Assam Accord. Why we had Assam Accord? Because Assamese said that as many Bangladesh immigrants have come illegally to Assam, they are destroying the cultural identity, and they are losing their major ethnicity of Assamese. So that is why they started protests. So to address that protest, India and Assamese groups have made an agreement called Assam Accord. So according to that, they are going to conduct national registry of citizens, and they will find out the illegal migrants, and they will deport to from whichever state they came, that is Bangladesh. So this is the agreement. Now you all know we have conducted NRC in Assam, and 40 lakh people are identified. So now it is a sensitive issue. Now should we deport those 40 lakh to Bangladesh or not? And Bangladesh says they are not from Bangladesh. They are not. You have to show the proofs, and it is not easy to show that proofs also. So that is why this illegal migration from Bangladesh became a major political issue and also a challenge between India and Bangladesh. Second thing, apart from this Bangladeshi immigrants, there is another issue, that is Rohingyas. You all know in Myanmar there is a problem between Buddhist Myanmaris and Rohingyas. So because of that, Rohingyas fled as refugees from Myanmar, and went to Bangladesh, and some of them tried to come to India as well. So right now, Bangladesh is hosting about 10 lakh Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh. Okay, 10 lakh. So that is why this refugee issue is also important for India. If India doesn't control or support Bangladesh in hosting those refugees, tomorrow those refugees will also come into India. So that will be a huge burden for India. So that is why border management and Rohingyas issue settlement is also very important issue or a challenge between India and Bangladesh. And finally, the border which we have with Bangladesh is mainly porous. Like it is not completely land, soft terrain or something. There are many rivers, I said. So there are obviously marshes. There are kind of, very deep water where you don't have fence and all. So historically also many crimes used to happen on the border, like many women trafficking used to happen, and drugs used to traffic from Bangladesh to India, and similarly many terrorist camps, like whoever, there are issues in northeast, you all know, right? Like there are terrorist organizations in northeast also. So those used to stay in Bangladesh and attack northeast and then go back. So this used to be the previous phenomena. So that is why here also certain issues are there, so that also need to be solved between India and Bangladesh. So these are the issues from border management. And by the way, ULFA stands for United Liberation Front for Assam, and JMB stands for Jamaat, Jaish Mohammed of Bangladesh or something is there. I'm not sure about this, but these are kind of terrorist outfits that are working for separatism in Northeast. And because of the porous border, it has become an issue or a challenge to be solved between India and Bangladesh. And if with knowing these kind of rivers is also important. In 2019, there was a question on this river, on this Teesta River. They asked like where it generates, where it originates, and through which states it flows and all. So whenever there are rivers or any issue that is being discussed in international relations, try to know the geography of it also, like where it originates and through which states it passes and all, and what are the tributaries. So that is also important. So NRC we have discussed just now, like how CA and NRC became a sensitive issue, because if you know, there are many political statements are also made in Assam and in India when this NRC was going on. Like our home minister said, this illegal immigrants are nothing but termites. Like termites means those insects that eat the wood. So he compared illegal migrants with such kind of stature, and this had huge protests in Bangladesh. So now imagine how it will impact on India-Bangladesh relations, especially when the relations are very good. So this political or getting the political mileage of this illegal migration has become very sensitive issue, and also having impact on India and Bangladesh. Bangladesh has repeatedly raised this issue of CA and NRC with India. Like how are you going to address it? Because if you are going to deport 40 lakh, then we are not going to accept and all. So that is why handling this in a smooth manner is very important for India. So these are different challenges of border management and water issue. Now we'll see the other challenges. The other important challenge is, like right now we mainly rely on political leaders for good relations between India and Bangladesh. If you remember, I said whenever Sheikh Hasina comes, we have good relations. Whenever we have opposite leader Khalida Zaya comes to power, we usually have not that good relations. So that means it is based on political party. But usually any relationship should be not based on political party, but it should be institutionalized. That means irrespective of political parties, the institutions like government, the executive, foreign affairs, everything should support India, or the relation should be positive across the institutions. It shouldn't depend on political leaders. So that is something another challenge. Next thing, other biggest factor in any of the neighbors if we see is China. So India is very suspicious of Chinese presence in these countries. We all know because we already have very good conflicts and competition with China. So China is heavily investing in entering into Bangladesh. like to get more presence in Bangladesh. The major project is Chittagong Project. Okay, so Chittagong, if you see in map, if I have map, yes. So it is somewhere here in the down. So Chittagong Project somewhere here. If China has a port here, now imagine what will be the implication security and strategically for India. Kolkata port is somewhere here. So it will have direct access to Bay of Bengal. So that is why Chinese presence has also become an important challenge between Bangladesh and India. So that is why India also trying majorly to develop alternatives and to give more infrastructure aid or economic boost to the relationship. So that is another thing. Next thing, many people say the border which is there between India and Bangladesh right now it is heavily guarded, like very fence and everything is there. But we have to slowly open the border if we want more growth in the relationship, because only when you open the border, the more people to people linkages will happen, more trade will happen, and more growth will happen, both between India and Bangladesh and also between Bangladesh and the other end, that is northeast. Because if you don't allow any trade between West Bengal and Bangladesh, how will Bangladesh will reciprocate with northeast? So that is another challenge. And finally, I showed you an economic angle, like we have so huge trade surplus with Bangladesh, despite giving zero duty access to Bangladesh goods. Like if we, I can show you here once again. Like if you see in economic, if out of 9 billion, around 7.5 billion is something India exports, and Bangladesh exports only 1.2 billion. That means a trade deficit of about this much, like 7.6 billion trade deficit is there with Bangladesh. So Bangladesh frequently raises this issue. So that is something we have to address by giving more market access to Bangladeshi goods. So these are mainly issues or challenges between India and Bangladesh. And now finally, we'll just quickly complete this. We already have discussed every part of this, but I have kept some of these points under importance so that whenever a question asked on what is the importance of India Bangladesh relations or what is the significance, then you can directly write them. Okay. So here you all know, like as I said, strategically, if you see this map, I have it here. One second. Yes. So already I told you, from Bangladesh point of view, this is Siliguri corridor, and this is very narrow corridor. So we need Bangladesh from the point of view of strategic connectivity. So that is first major importance of Bangladesh. Okay. And next thing, BBIN corridor. Like BBIN is main part of our look east policy and also South South Asian regional integration. That means if India wants to have major presence in all these countries of South Asia, the BBIN corridor is very important. And for that, Bangladesh is also very important. And similarly, Bangladesh wants to become a transit corridor or a transit hub, basically, because Nepal wants sea access, Bhutan wants sea access. So right now it is going through only India. But if Bangladesh also becomes part of BBIN, then Bangladesh can also use its seaports to export and import products of Bhutan and Nepal. So that is how it is a common understanding of Bangladesh and India. And then as I told, if Bangladesh develops, it is very easy for Northeast also to develop because there is common connectivity and common shared border between both of them. And the final thing is, right now Bangladesh is the rapid growing country in entire South Asia. And if you see, this illegal migration from Bangladesh to India has also stopped in recent years. This is because Bangladesh is developing. So once it is developing, they are finding employment in their own country itself. So that's how slowly the migration is reducing. So that is why we also need to use Bangladesh development for development of entire region. So that is why it is also important from Bangladesh. And finally, there are some unique initiatives which are successful in Bangladesh. So having close cooperation, we can implement them. As I've already explained, there is a concept called Gramina banks. Like if you see now, These Gramina banks or rural banks are focused banks. They are not like commercial banks dealing with many type of banking variety services. They deal only in providing credit to the rural farmers or rural enterprises. So that way they are more focused towards development. So this is something concept we imported from Bangladesh, is most successful concept there. And if you see HDI indicators, HDI means Human Development Index. In that also, Bangladesh is much better than India actually. So there are some lessons like how they are dealing with poverty, how they are dealing with sustainable development, because there is very small country with huge population. If Bangladesh is doing it, we can do it in a more better way. So that is why cooperation is very important to import and work those ideas. And it is very much suitable for India. So that is why Bangladesh is very important for India from all these aspects, from development to strategic and security aspect. And finally, the way forward, like what is the suggestions or how can we go for more better relations? First thing is like right now we have all the connectivity, but it is mainly focused on inland waterways and railways. But we can focus and quickly develop all modes of transport. So that way we have better connectivity and better relations with Bangladesh. And then there are integrated checkposts. These integrated checkposts right now at only some places. What they do is an integrated checkpost. They'll combine everything like trade or people to people movement or even farmers moving if they have some land over there and market produce and all. So because of that, checking will be easy and transit will be easy. So these kind of posts should be more expanded towards the entire border so that it will be easy. And third thing, already I told Bangladesh is developing very fast. So now in India, Bangladeshis are major tourists coming to India. So that is something which we have to encash or improvise. So people to people connections and tourism is another important aspect. And finally, I told this NRC issue is a sentiment in politically sensitive issue in Bangladesh. So India also needs to give certain kind of assurance that it is an internal issue, not going to affect Bangladesh. So that way, Bangladesh, India will not have that dispute as a major thing to drag the relation. And finally, we need to develop the strong relations between Bangladesh, keeping in mind all these aspirations. So this is kind of in total the entire relationship of India Bangladesh. So I hope this is well understood. Now can we go with India Bhutan relations? Okay, if somebody is there from Telugu, very quickly, like I'll just only discuss the headings and then we'll move to Bhutan. సో మనం ఆల్రెడీ అన్ని సెక్టార్స్ లో కోఆపరేషన్ చూసాము. అలాగే ఛాలెంజెస్ కూడా ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఛాలెంజెస్ లో చూస్తే మనకు ఫస్ట్ మేజర్ గా రివర్ షేరింగ్ లో ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఛాలెంజెస్ ఉన్నాయి. ఈ రివర్ షేరింగ్ ఏంటంటే అన్ని రివర్స్ పైనుంచి కిందికి వెళ్తాయి కాబట్టి రివర్ లో కంపల్సరీ అగ్రిమెంట్స్ ఉండాలి. సో దాంట్లో మనకు తీస్తా వాటర్ అగ్రిమెంట్ ఒకటి, ఆ తర్వాత ఫరక్కా బ్యారేజ్ మీద మేజర్ గా ఇద్దరి మధ్యలో ఛాలెంజ్ ఉంది అది సాల్వ్ చేయడంలో. ఈ తీస్తా వాటర్ అగ్రిమెంట్ ఎందుకు ఆగింది అంటే ఇది 2011 లో నెగోషియేట్ అయింది, అంతా ఫైనల్ అయింది, కానీ సైన్ చేయట్లే. ఎందుకంటే మెయిన్ గా వాటర్ అనేది స్టేట్ సబ్జెక్ట్. సో దానివల్ల వెస్ట్ బెంగాల్ గవర్నమెంట్ పర్మిషన్ ఉండే వరకు ఆ అగ్రిమెంట్ అవ్వట్లేదు. సో ఇట్ ఈస్ ఎ మేజర్ ఇరిటెంట్ ఇన్ రిలేషన్షిప్. నెక్స్ట్ ఆ తర్వాత బార్డర్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ చూసాం. ఇల్లీగల్ మైగ్రేషన్ కానీ 1975 తర్వాత ఎకనామిక్ రీజన్స్ వల్ల కావచ్చు లేదా కొన్ని ఫండమెంటల్ ఆర్గనైజేషన్స్ వల్ల కావచ్చు హ్యూజ్ రెఫ్యూజెస్ ఫ్లో ఉండేది అస్సాంకి. సో దానివల్ల అస్సాంలో అజిటేషన్ స్టార్ట్ అయినాయి టు స్టాప్ దిస్ మైగ్రేషన్. సో అలా అస్సాం అకార్డ్ అని చేసాం ఇండియన్ గవర్నమెంట్ అస్సామీస్ ప్రొటెస్టింగ్ ఆర్గనైజేషన్స్. ఈ అకార్డ్ ప్రకారం ఏంటి అంటే ఎన్ఆర్సీ చేయాలి. ఎన్ఆర్సీ చేసి ఎవరైతే ఇల్లీగల్ ఉంటారో వాళ్ళను డిపోర్ట్ చేయాలి బ్యాక్ టు దేర్ ఒరిజిన్ స్టేట్. కాకపోతే ఇప్పుడు మీకు తెలుసు ఎన్ఆర్సీ వల్ల ఆల్మోస్ట్ 40 lakh పీపుల్ ఐడెంటిఫై అయ్యారు. సో ఇప్పుడు మరి 40 lakh వెనుకకు పంపిస్తా ఉంటే బంగ్లాదేశ్ ఒప్పుకుంటుందా? బికాస్ దే ఆర్ వెరీ ఓల్డ్ immigrants who have come to India. So that become a sensitive issue అనమాట. So that is from border management point of view. And then finally అదర్ ఛాలెంజెస్ లో మీరు చూస్తే చైనీస్ ప్రెసెన్స్, చైనా బిఆర్ఐ పరంగా చిటగాంగ్ పోర్టుకి అక్కడికి ఎక్స్పాండ్ చేస్తుంది. సో ఇది ఇండియా మీద ఎట్లా ఎఫెక్ట్ అవుతుంది, ఇది ఎట్లా సాల్వ్ చేయాలనేది అనదర్ ఇష్యూ. అండ్ ఫైనల్ గా ట్రేడ్ డెఫిసిట్. ట్రేడ్ డెఫిసిట్ అంటే బంగ్లాదేశ్ మనకి చాలా తక్కువ ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ చేస్తుంది, చాలా ఎక్కువ ఇంపోర్ట్ చేస్తుంది. సో ఆ ట్రేడ్ డెఫిసిట్ అనేది ఎలాగ తగ్గియాలి, అది కామన్ కంప్లైంట్ అనమాట బంగ్లాదేశ్ నుండి. సో అది అనదర్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఛాలెంజ్. అండ్ ఇవి ఛాలెంజెస్. నెక్స్ట్ అసలు ఇంపార్టెన్స్ అండ్ సిగ్నిఫికెన్స్ ఏంటి అనేది మనం ఆల్రెడీ చూసాం. లైక్ కనెక్టివిటీ పరంగా కానీ, సెక్యూరిటీ పరంగా కానీ, లేకపోతే డెవలప్మెంట్ కోఆపరేషన్లో కానీ బంగ్లాదేశ్ చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఇండియాకి. సో దట్ ఈస్ వాట్ వి డిస్కస్డ్ ఇన్ దిస్. అండ్ ఫైనలీ వే ఫార్వర్డ్. లైక్ ఇంకా రిలేషన్స్ ఎక్కువ పెంచాలి అంటే ఒకటి కనెక్టివిటీ ప్రాజెక్ట్స్ మీద ఇంకా బాగా ఎక్కువ వర్క్ చేయాలి. లైక్ ఇంటిగ్రేటెడ్ చెక్ పోస్ట్ ని ఇంకా ఎక్స్పాండ్ చేయాలి. బంగ్లాదేశ్ కి మనము ఎన్ఆర్సీ వల్ల ఇంపాక్ట్ అవ్వదు అని చెప్పి అష్యూరెన్స్ ఇవ్వడము, వాళ్ళ కన్సర్న్స్ ని మనం కన్సిడర్ చేయడము, వీటి వల్ల స్లోగా ఇండియన్ రిలేషన్స్ విత్ బంగ్లాదేశ్ అనేవి ఇంకా పాజిటివ్ ట్రాక్ లోకి వెళ్తాయి. సో ఫస్ట్ థింగ్, ఈసారి ఇన్స్టెడ్ ఆఫ్ డిస్కసింగ్ ఆల్ ద హిస్టరీ అండ్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్, ఇండియా భూటాన్ లో like between India and Bhutan, there are very like a kind of close relations. But before understanding all those aspects like economic aspect, defense, and why they have close relations and all, before that we'll try to see why Bhutan is very important for India. Why we need to have very close relations with such a small state. This is because there are certain major reasons. If you have seen, like I told when I was explaining that editorial in Hindu, I told there were three pronged strategy where I said having good relations with Bhutan and Nepal is very important to counter even China as well. So from that aspect also, Bhutan is very important. So from that, if we see traditionally, if we were successful with in neighborhood, Bhutan stands as a number one example. With Bhutan, we have very good relations. After Bhutan, Bangladesh comes. So that is in the neighborhood. And so part of it, if we see, Bhutan forms a central part of our policy called neighborhood policy and actist policy. So why? So first of all, what is neighborhood first? So I said neighborhood first policy, as the name suggests, it is giving priority to the neighborhood regions, that is neighbors of India. So by giving priority and by having better relations with them, India will not have disputes at its border, and so that it will become a regional power and then can claim or can go for global power status. So that is why neighborhood policy was started. And second thing, actist policy. In actist policy, we are actually integrating entire India northeast with the eastern part of the South Asia or eastern part of Asia. So what is East Asia? Like you all know, if this is India map, I'm really sorry, it went so far. So if this is India map, this area, this entire India, Pakistan, Afghanistan is South Asia. And this Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, these countries are called as Southeast Asia. And further to the east, whatever the countries are there, like China, Philippines, Taiwan, even Japan, and South Korea, North Korea, and then in the down, if you see, we have Australia and New Zealand. So all this part becomes East Asia. So basically, under Actist policy, what we are trying to do is we are trying to connect back our relationship with East Asia more strongly, like having expanding it to economic angle, cultural, people to people, and also security and strategic aspect. So this is Actist. So for Actist, if you see India map, after Bangladesh, who is important? It is Bhutan. Because if we have good relations with Bhutan, through Bhutan, Arunachal Pradesh, Assam can be more developed and connected to the eastern part of India or eastern region of India. So that way, Actist policy is important. And from neighborhood policy, I said Bhutan stands as a successful example of neighborhood policy. So with Bhutan, we have very good relations. So that is why in all these aspects, it becomes a major central part. So that is why it is important. And if you see in neighborhood policy, what we did is there were two times Narendra Modi was elected. You all know. In 2014, when he elected, the first overseas visit Modi made was to Bhutan. Okay. And just again in 2019, when he elected, again he visited Bhutan as a first nation. And this is for the first time it happened. And this explain you like how much Bhutan is important and how much India is giving importance for neighborhood policy. So that is why Bhutan relationship is very important. Apart from this political aspect and the connectivity aspect, there is another reason why Bhutan is important. That is its strategic location. Okay. So for that we need to see the map. So if you see the map, this is Bhutan. And with Bhutan, Arunachal Pradesh shares the border, Assam shares the border, and then you have this side, it is Sikkim that shares the border. And part of West Bengal also shares the border with Bhutan. So these many states share the border with Bhutan. So because of this, there are two kinds of importance. One is internal stability, and second thing is external stability. First thing, internal stability. You all know there are constant violent activities in this northeast. Like if you see, there is a Bodoland issue, there is an separate Assam agitations. Similarly, there were previously some groups asking for separate Gorkha state. Okay, and there were some groups which are violent in Assam. So frequently, this area has many kind of separatist organizations. These organizations mainly sheltered in Bhutan, mainly sheltered in Bhutan. I'll give one example. That is ULFA, ULFA. So ULFA stands for United Liberation Front of Assam. So that is a kind of terrorist organization that want complete separate independent status for Assam. So this used to, hide in Bhutan forests, and then launch attacks in Assam and go through. So because we had good relations with Bhutan, we launched an operation and cleared all of these militants and this organization. So that is why from internal stability aspect also, Bhutan is very important for India. So this is internal stability. So now we see external stability. From external point, if we see China, with China we have almost a common border in many states, but only with Nepal and Bhutan are acting as buffer states between India and China. So what do you mean by this buffer state? Buffer state means it acts as a cushion between India and China. Now imagine if Bhutan is not there and China is directly having border with India, then we will almost have a direct dispute again in this border also. And tomorrow if there is an attack, it will be directly on India. So we'll not have enough time to protect this region. For example, now what happens? Bhutan becomes buffer state. So usually China kind of large country, usually they will not attack small country because it will be shown in a poor light in international media. That is one thing. Second thing, even if China attacks, it will first attack Bhutan and it has to come through Bhutan to India. So that is why Bhutan acts as a buffer state for India. So if India maintains good relations with Bhutan and has control in some part of this foreign policy, then we can prevent at least some Chinese, excess in this northeast region. So it will become an asset for us in the region. So that is why Bhutan, having good relations with Bhutan is very, very important for India. And that is why in editorial also that author was talking about having good relations with Bhutan and Nepal. So that is external stability and this is internal stability. And next thing, because India has such good relations with Bhutan in entire South Asia, like if you see Pakistan, Afghanistan, India, Bangladesh and Nepal, it is only Bhutan that did not join Belt and Road Initiative of China. So Bhutan is taking India's stand and supporting India. Now imagine if Bhutan also joins BRI, then it will have huge pressure on India also to join BRI. And India becomes only country that is opposing the BRI in entire South Asia. So that is why politically also to maintain or to strengthen India's stand, Bhutan is very important for India. And finally, with Bhutan, we have such a kind of close relationship and geographically also very closely linked that Bhutan has always placed India's interest on the same level as Bhutanese interests. For this is can be explained majorly by an example. Like in 2017, just before this Doklam incident happened, as I already explained you, like Doklam is an disputed area, tri-junction between Bhutan, India, and China. So just before this incident happened, what China did is China tried to have very good relations with Bhutan by promising it an aid package of about $10 billion. It said, I will give you $10 billion of package, and then you give Doklam to us so that Doklam will be useful for us and all. But Bhutan actually declined that and helped India in defending the Doklam region. So that is the kind of importance we will have if we have close relationship with country like Bhutan. So this is finally the importance of Bhutan. So now knowing the significance on Bhutan, we will see what are the different aspects where the relationship is playing out. So these are the states and these are the dispute like Sikkim, Bhutan and Arunachal Pradesh. Okay. So now India Bhutan relations. So this is a kind of introduction that would be useful for you. Like Bhutan, our Prime Minister Modi, he visited in Bhutan after these elections. Like he said there, like Bhutan has a special place in India and Indian people's heart, and we call it as sacred bond. Okay, so he uses kind of these words, very feel good words and all. So this sacred bond usually signifies the spiritual connection because we have a common Buddhist connection. It is from India, the Buddhism went to uh, Tibet, sorry, Tibet and Bhutan. So that is why we had close connection with Bhutan spiritually also. And also, if you know, like many Bhutanese have this policy of happiness index, like they majorly emphasize happiness rather than economic growth. So that is also has huge positive effect in India. In many Indian states also trying to have that kind of model where they try to improve or measure happiness rather than economic growth. So that is why it is a called as a kind of sacred bond. So now we will see different aspect like historically how it developed the relationship, and then we will see different aspects. Okay, so now first thing, historically how it is been with Bhutan. So if you see Bhutan initially used to be a separate kingdom till British, completely hold a dominant power in India. So that by 1865 British became a powerful empire in entire India, and Bhutan used to have a separate emperor or separate king. So what British did is, Bhutan is anyway very small part, and so British Empire signed a treaty with them called Treaty of Punakha in 1910. So according to this treaty, it became a protectorate state. That means all the foreign affairs and defense will be dealt by British India, and internally the king will rule Bhutan. So that is a kind of agreement that was signed in 1910. So this is 1910 agreement and the colonial kind of relationship. So before that, I just missed this point. I'll explain that. So that is Guru Padma Sambhava connection. So this is also important from especially Prem's point. So try to see his where he born and all, because right now it seems like Odisha is developing a tourist circuit for Guru Padmasambhava, and there are major monuments in Odisha, the pilgrimage sites and all there. So try to see who is he and what kind of work he has done and all. So Guru Padmasambhava is a Buddhist monk who went from India to Bhutan and spread Buddhism there. So he's a major spiritual leader in Bhutan. Okay, so that's how the close ties and Buddhist connection established between India and Bhutan through Guru Padmasambhava. So that is about historical connection. And then I told in 1910 we had a major treaty where defense and foreign affairs are completely under control of British India. Now we all know after 1947 we got independence. And now what we have to do with Bhutan? This is a question that came up. So finally, in 1949, based on this 1910 treaty, there was another new treaty that was signed between Republic of India and Kingdom of Bhutan. That is nothing but 1949 Treaty of Friendship and Cooperation. So according to this treaty, this is like similar treaty with which we have with Nepal. In Nepal relations also I told, like we had a similar treaty in 1950. So according to this treaty, there are three major provisions. First thing, free trade and commerce between two countries. That means our goods and Bhutanese goods should be treated as same. They should not be differentiated or different rates shouldn't be charged. Second thing, always we need to go for peace and friendship and equal justice to each other's citizens. That means our Indian citizens should be treated as same Bhutanese citizens with respect to law. That means no favor in even in crime also. Like even if there is any crime or any violation of any law, even Indian citizens and Bhutanese citizens should be treated as same. Second thing, national treatment and equal privileges. So this is second provision. What is this national treatment and equal privileges? This I told in Nepal example also. That means Bhutanese will have same right as Indians to buy the property, to establish enterprises, or to have residence in India. That means Bhutanese can live in India and can work in India like Indians. And Indians can also go and work in Bhutan and live in Bhutan. So this is second treaty. And finally, the important part, the third treaty is that same like how British India controlled defense and foreign affairs of Bhutan, Republic India, that is independent India, will also continue to control foreign and defense of Bhutan. So this is in 1949. So this is like a close cooperation which we had with Bhutan. Okay. So now fast track to 2007. What we did is with Bhutan, we revised this treaty of 2007. Bhutan said by 2007, okay, now we want an equal kind of stature. We don't want to be kind of, a sub part of Indian territory where you control our defense and foreign relations. And it seems like we are no more independent country and all. So when these kind of complaints came, okay, India also realized that this is 21st century and we have to treat nations as equal. And because of close cooperation, they have revised this treaty and made a new treaty on 2007 called Treaty of Friendship and Cooperation. So under this treaty, that provision where India controls defense and foreign relations is removed. Okay, that is removed, and instead said Bhutan is completely now independent in taking its foreign relations and defense aspects, but it has to consider the major core interests of other nation while doing any policy. So that is a kind of additional condition is added. That means no policy of India should be against Bhutan when it affects its core interests, or Bhutan should not have any kind of relationship which will have negative impact on Bhutan, negative impact on India. So with this provision, they can have relationship with any country. So this is kind of new major amendment that is added to the treaty. And second thing, as you seen here, this treaty was signed because to introduce a kind of strong bond of equality in the relationship. And next thing, apart from this foreign affairs, in defense, Bhutan can import the arms from any country. Before it has to import only from India. Now it can import from any country or from India, and but it cannot export them. It cannot re-export them, like import and re-export to any other country. So that is another agreement. Apart from that, like the national treatment, living in other country or working in other country, free trade, everything is same. So this is kind of 2007 treaty. Now if you see that author's editorial in Hindu, she made a statement there that because India and Bhutan relations are very successful, and one of the major reason for that success is revision of this treaty. Because you have revised this treaty in time, that is by 2007, Bhutan were happy with the Indian relationship and they said they will go on positive side. But you haven't done the same thing with Nepal. So till now also we don't have a revised treaty. I said still the negotiations are going. That is why we have the common problems with Nepal right from the complaints of the major treaty that we have with Nepal. That is Friendship Treaty of 1950, where we have open borders and all. So that is why author also says we need to have similar kind of treaty with Nepal. So that is the importance of this treaty. This treaty acts as a strong pillar foundation between India and Bhutan relations. And finally, by 2018, we have celebrated 50 years of diplomatic relations between India and Bhutan. This is because only in 1968 to 2018, that is 50 years. So only in 1968, we had an embassy in Bhutan. Before that, our embassy or our representative in Sikkim used to control both Sikkim and Bhutan. It is only in 1968 we established an embassy. So that is why by 2018 it became a golden jubilee and we have celebrated that relation. So this is just a fact. Okay. So that is about this treaty and historical aspect. Now we will see, like we have seen the importance why Bhutan is important, and then what is this treaty of friendship and peace. Now we will see different aspects which are very important. So under this friendship and treaty itself, we have signed an agreement in 1972 for trade and transit. Okay, so for trade and transit, under this, Bhutan enjoys duty-free transit. That means it can export any products to any other country without paying any tax in India. So Bhutan can directly export it through Kolkata port or any other port in India without paying any tax. So that is a kind of close economic cooperation we have with Bhutan. Second thing, we almost have a free trade regime. That means any goods and services can cross the borders without having to pay kind of any duties like other countries pay. So that is why India is a major trading partner for Bhutan. Like whatever the Bhutan trades with all the countries, out of that 90% it trades with India. That means all the bilateral trade of it, 90% is completely by India. If we see that it is, as Bhutan is very small country, right now the trade volume is at 1.2 billion. And in that 1.2 billion also, 653, 657 or about 65% is our exports and only 35% is our imports. So here also we have trade surplus with Bhutan. Then finally, hydropower and water resources. This is very important because Bhutan is completely, hilly area, and majorly all the rivers from Tibet and Himalayas flow through Bhutan and go to India. So that is why having dams, constructing dams and generating electricity is a major economic activity for Bhutan, because Bhutan doesn't have any good industries because it is completely Himalayas. It doesn't have any big agriculture because agriculture can't be practiced on hills. So there are no other major economic source. That is why hydroelectric power source is major source. And so India and Bhutan agreed that there is a potential of about generating 30,000 megawatts. 30,000 megawatts is the potential that can be generated by constructing projects. So we made an agreement in 2009 that out of this 30,000, at least by 2020, that is in gap of 11 years from 2009 to 2020, we'll try to generate about 10,000 megawatts of electricity, and that electricity will be bought by India. It is a win-win kind of relationship. Why? Because India will go and invest in Bhutan, because Bhutan doesn't have that much of money to construct the projects also. So India will go invest there, construct the projects, generate the electricity. Some of it will be used by Bhutan, and rest will be exported to India. And it will be in India's advantage also, because India will get cheap electricity and also green electricity. You don't need to build coal or CO2 emissions projects. These are very good, efficient, sustainable projects from which you get power. And India is very rapidly developing. So we always have power demand. So that is why we said it is a kind of win-win cooperation. So part of that, there were many projects, and out of that, the major project in 2019 Modi has inaugurated is this 720 megawatts Mangdechu River project. Okay, but the problem here is we envisioned by 2020 10,000 megawatts should be generated, but out of that, so far only 2,000 megawatts is what achieved. That means 8,000 is not achieved at all. That is the potential we have with Bhutan in hydropower generation. And this hydropower is the major pillar between India and Bhutan from the economic aspect also. Even if you see out of this 1.2 billion, whatever Bhutan exports to India, that 369 billion million is majorly electricity only. Like 70 to 80% is what it is exporting in the form of electricity to India. So that is why it is very significant. And next thing, water resources. Like as there are many rivers that flow from Bhutan to India. One of them is Dangmechu. So that is a river that flows from Tibet to Bhutan and then to Assam. So having close cooperation on controlling the water and also sharing the water information is very important to prevent the floods and all. So that is why apart from hydropower generation, we also have water sharing agreement or kind of water management, flood management agreement between Bhutan and India. So that is the joint group of experts on flood management between India and Bhutan. And the examples of majorly successful hydro projects are Chukka Hydro Project, Kurichu, and Tala Project. These are completed, and in 2019, this Mangdechu project. Okay, so that is about water resources and hydropower. So that we have discussed so far. And then we have other aspects like after hydropower, development partnership is very important. So under development partnership, what we are doing is we are basically supporting their 5-year plans right from 1961. So whenever Bhutan proposes a kind of development in its region, it is India that is giving major contribution in supporting that plan. So if you see like about 4,500 crores, that means very big plan. Like it is about 500 million for every 5 years. India is providing that amount in a form of direct grant, not even loan, like direct grant to the Bhutan Parliament in the form of budget support to the 5-year plans. So like in 11th 5-year plan and 12th 5-year plan, we have almost donated 4,500 crores for each 5-year plan. That accounts to about $1.5 billion in US currency. So this is kind of close development cooperation we have. And we have, if there are any major projects that were developed in Bhutan that were done by India only. Like there is no other country that developed any project in Bhutan. Like if we see their airport, that is Paro Airport, or Bhutan Broadcasting Station, and even the cement plant. There is a very big cement plant that established recently. So all these were done by India under this close development cooperation. And these are the three main areas. Like if we see other things like cultural or people to people connection and all, that is also an important part. So part of that, there are many Bhutanese young students who study in India. Like right now, Bhutan is also a young country like India. So many Bhutanese come and study in India, and India provides many scholarships to Bhutanese students. Like there is a scholarship called Nehru and Wangchuk scholarship, in which they give free kind of education provision for Bhutanese to study in India. And then we have a border mechanism also, like where Bhutan forces and our border forces, like our bordering states, both coordinate to control this drug smuggling or any illegal activities on the border. And then we have very recently in 2019, we have made a major announcement when Modi visited. That announcement is for the first time, Bhutanese people or Bhutanese scientists are going to come to India, and India is helping Bhutan to construct a small satellite and to be launched by India. So this is going to be a next level of cooperation. This is what something launched. And similarly, we also help them launch a geoportal system where they can remote sense know the mineral resources, what are there in their country, and also help them develop from mineral resources point of view and disaster management. So this is kind of other areas of cooperation like space and other new areas that is developing. And then finally, we have political cooperation. You all know, like politically in international institutions also, India and Bhutan majorly take same stand. Like if you see on BRI how both have same stand. Similarly, they have in SARC, BIMSTEC and BBIN. So here also India is benefiting majorly because of close cooperation with Bhutan. So this is something about that aspect. So this is very important from current year. Like this is major event that happened in 2019. Modi visited there and made very big agreements with Bhutan to elevate the relationship to the next level. So knowing this and using those projects is very important in your answers if at all a question is asked on India-Bhutan relations. So if you see that for the first time, traditionally I said hydropower is a major kind of relation we have with Bhutan. So now we are expanding that to the new technology areas like aviation, space cooperation, IT sector, power, education and all. So we have made almost 10 agreements. Out of that, the first thing in digital is RuPay card system is launched. Rupee card system is a digital transaction system launched by India. So that India launched even in Bhutan. So that Bhutan and can India exchange the digital payments. So we have close financial cooperation also. And there was a request by Bhutan to actually extend the currency swap agreement. Like they want more Indian rupees that can be exchanged with their currency. Okay. So part of that, we have made an additional 100 million dollar swap provision for Bhutan. Okay, that is second agreement. And third thing, for the first time, ISRO has set up a ground station. Like we have launched a South Asia satellite, but to receive that information from satellite, you also need to have a ground station. So this ground station is constructed by ISRO in Bhutan. So from now, Bhutan will use that satellite to actually use the South Asian satellite and also use other satellite information for disaster, for communications, because Bhutan, I said, is completely Himalayas. So you don't have the mobile towers everywhere. So it also uses Indian satellites and the South Asian satellite for communication, telemedicine, and teleeducation. So this way, space is the new emerging area of cooperation between India and Bhutan. And then finally, LPG and oil and gas is another major import from India. So that also we have increased the supply. So that we have increased to 1000 megatons. And then you all know that India has a knowledge network where like this all these educational institutions are connected online. That we have connected it to Bhutanese network so that all the Indian websites, all the Indian educational content can be accessed in Bhutan as well. So these are the kind of new agreements that were signed very recently. So this will be another important aspect, like how we are growing from traditional hydropower and development to other aspects. Now we'll see very quickly what are the issues. So probably we'll stop it here with the issues. There is only one more slide. If we are unable to complete or if we stop somewhere here but 8:15, we'll continue the rest of the slide in with the Sri Lanka. So it will not take more than 5-10 minutes. So the rest of the 1-2 slides will continue with India Sri Lanka. So meanwhile, we'll discuss this challenges. So if we see the challenges, first thing I said, Bhutan is right now slowly starting the protest that it is majorly dependent on India on every aspect. We also have seen in this entire slides. So that is why Bhutan is complaining that dependency and also trade deficit. Like India is having more advantage in trade surplus. And then hydropower, because there is not much hydropower generated, and also the rate for the hydropower is also very less. Okay, so that is thing. Second thing, in 2013, like when there were elections in Bhutan, India actually withdrew suddenly the subsidies for LPG and kerosene. Like what India does is, like how we give subsidies to our people in India for LPG and kerosene, we also give it to Bhutan. But in 2013, we suddenly withdrew it. And Bhutanese felt that India is doing it only to support a political party or the government that is there. So because of that, a kind of small friction generated. So this is kind of political interference, something that needs to be addressed between India and Bhutan. And third thing, there is slowly growing perception. It is not that large, but there is growing perception that Bhutan is being exploited by India because they are very sensitive about their natural resources. So having many hydropower projects is actually going in a negative way, that it is damaging their natural resources. And also the loans interest rates are going high, and the tariff rates on electricity, that is Bhutan has to export that electricity to India, right? So the rate at which we buy that electricity, that rates are going down. Why? You all know that we are going for renewable energy, that is solar and wind. So when solar and wind we are getting at cheaper rates, so we'll also give cheaper rates for hydropower. So Bhutan is actually protesting that also, that you have given us very big loans and we have huge debt to you, but you are not purchasing that electricity you generated at very good cost. So that is another challenge that needs to be addressed. And then finally, as I told, there is very debt, like huge debt to India, because India is a major provision of a loan to Bhutan. And China, as I said, is trying majorly to enter into Bhutan. So far they did not have very good presence, but is slowly trying. So that is also an important issue. And you all know that Doklam already happened. So Doklam is an example of how China is trying to enter into Bhutan. So one, if it enters, then it will be a huge challenge for India to address. And finally, in 2017, Bhutan actually withdrew from BBIN agreement. BBIN I told, right? Bhutan, Bangladesh, India, and Nepal Motor Vehicle Agreement. So Bhutan withdrew, saying that it will cause environment problems because there will be huge transport of trucks and all the roads will be laid. So because they are so sustainable and so dependent on natural resources, so they said we'll not sign it because it will destroy. If Bhutan doesn't sign, then it will give less incentive for Bangladesh and Nepal also to sign. So that is why it has an impact on again on India and Bhutan relations. So these are some challenges which we have to address.